It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chilliefalls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast for this, the 18th day of August 2023. Coming to you from Central Virginia. My last day here for, well, up until almost the middle of September, as I'm heading for northern climes, as it were, heading up for a couple cruises to Alaska. Of course, you'll be hearing lots about that over the next 3 weeks or so. We do have some headlines for today. Category 4, Hurricane Hilary, and an Atlantic weather update. A Canadian town evacuates. China lifts restrictions. The pizza fee backlash. Months of cancellation from Celebrity, and MSC and Italy, and lots more here at 11 o'clock this morning. Today, by the way, folks, is National Ice Cream Pie Day. How can you not like that? Pie and ice cream. Put them together. I can dig it. I will happily have some ice cream pie today. All right, if you're listening via the podcast, welcome aboard. You can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. All the big guys, just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News. Doesn't matter if it's Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Stitcher or Podchaser. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. Anytime you're listening, if you want to jump over to the video feed, there's always a link in the description of the podcast. So you can do just that. If you haven't done so already, please consider smashing that thumbs up button. That'll help the channel out quite a bit. And also, if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. The bell notification will tell you when we go live or when a new video is posted. All right, the top story we got to look at today actually comes from the Pacific. We'll come back to the Atlantic here in a bit. That's what we're looking at. Top story today has to deal with weather, particularly in the West Coast and the Pacific, where Hilary has become a large and powerful Category 4 hurricane. Significant flooding impacts possible portions of the Baja California Peninsula and the southeastern United States early next week. We also got to look at how it's going to affect cruises from a number of our regulars, including Kenneth and Robin. Currently, it's located about 110 miles south of Socorro Island, about 400 miles south of Cabo San Lucas. Maximum sustained winds are at 145 miles an hour. Presently, it's moving west-northwest at 13 miles an hour. The central pressure is 942, folks. Interest elsewhere on the Baja Peninsula along the coast of northwestern mainland Mexico and the southwestern United States coastline should closely monitor the progress of Hilary. Fluctuations in intensity are likely over the next day or so. Weakening is expected to begin by Saturday, but Hilary will still be a hurricane when it approaches the west coast of the Baja Peninsula Saturday night and Sunday. Hilary is expected to weaken to a tropical storm by Sunday afternoon before it reaches Southern California. Now, here's the problem with this, folks. The looks right now like this is going to be a direct hit on Cabo San Lucas. Yes, hopefully it's going to weaken some by the time it gets there. The chance of it reaching Southern California by Sunday night or Monday is very high as a tropical storm. It'll be the first time a tropical storm has reached Southern California since the 1930s. So it doesn't happen very often, which also means they may not be prepared for it. All right, so let's look at what all is could possibly affect the cruise industry. A number of cruises, and we don't have any changes yet, but you can be sure that there's going to be some changes made. Carnival Radiance departs Los Angeles on the today, as a matter of fact, is expected to be docked in Ensenada tomorrow. Is among the cruises that might face the brunt of the storm. Its guests might experience the storm effects firsthand during their journey, possibly that they can change the journey. Similarly, Navigator of the Seas departs from Los Angeles today, reaching Ensenada on Saturday. Could be equally impacted by the storm. Guests aboard must be prepared for delays or disruptions in the planned itinerary. Carnival Panorama, set to sail from Los Angeles tomorrow with 2 sea days following departure, stands at considerable risk. The swells in the projected sailing area are anticipated to peak to a staggering 20 to 22 feet, which could pose significant challenges for a ship and the discomfort of the guests. Also, the Emerald Princess, which Kenneth and Robin will be on, is supposed to begin her repositioning cruise from Los Angeles on the 21st. She is set to sail through the areas predicted to be heavily affected by the storm. Stops in Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta and other ports might be disrupted by the after effects. And of course, there's a possibility that they will be definitely wet when they get on the ship on Monday. The 2 home ports in the Los Angeles area, Long Beach and Los Angeles, will likely be affected by severe rainfall on Monday, and forecasts now predicting up to 2 inches of rain. Carnival Radiance, Emerald Princess, and Navigator of the Seas are all expected to be back in port on that day. So we're just going to have to stay on top of it, things, and do not be surprised if itineraries and schedules get changed. All right. We also got to look at the Atlantic, which went nuts overnight. You can see there's a significant change from yesterday's patterns in the Atlantic. We're going to start east to west. Showers, and this is for the East Tropical Atlantic. Showers and thunderstorms continue to show some signs of organization in association with a broad area of low pressure located a few hundred miles west of the Cabo Verde Islands. Environmental conditions appear generally favorable for additional development of this system, and a tropical depression is likely to form over the weekend, while it moves toward the west-northwest or northwest at about 10 miles an hour across the eastern tropical Atlantic. By early next week, upper-level winds over the system are forecast to increase, and further development is not expected. They're talking about 50% for chance of further development over the next 48 hours, 70% chance over the next 7 days. Definitely got to watch this one. The second one is the central tropical Atlantic, an elongated trough of low pressure located more than 1,000 miles west-southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands is producing some disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Environmental conditions are only marginal conducive for further development of this system, but a tropical depression could still form during the next couple of days while it moves west-northwestward at 10 to 15 miles an hour across the central tropical Atlantic. Thereafter, upper-level winds are forecast to become unfavorable for any further development. You got a 40% chance of development in the next 48 hours and 40% over the next 7 days. In the east-southeast of the Lesser Antilles, another area of low pressure could form in a day or so with an elongated trough of low pressure located several hundred miles to the east-southeast of the Lesser Antilles. some slow development of this system is possible over the weekend and into early next week as it moves generally west-northwest at 10 to 15 across the Lesser Antilles and into the northeastern Caribbean Sea. You've only got a 10% chance over the next 48 hours, 20% chance over the next 7 days. And finally, an area of disturbed weather located just north of Hispaniola is forecast to move into the Gulf of Mexico by early next week, where a broad area of low pressure could form. Some slow development of the system is possible thereafter as it moves westward and approaches the western Gulf coastline by the middle of next week. Formation over the next 48 hours is low, almost 0%, but 30% over the next 7 days. So we're going to have to keep a watch on it. Well, that wraps up the weather, guys. I'll be back with a couple more news stories after a quick break from one of our network sponsors. All right, the next news story has to do with China. News that China has lifted pandemic-era restrictions on group tours for more countries, including key markets such as the U.S., Japan, South Korea, and Australia, should prove to be the most consequential development of the past 5 years for the cruise industry in East Asia. China recently lifted its ban on group travel to 78 more countries, finally including South Korea and Japan, 2 countries that previously featured an ex-mainland China cruise itinerary and a key contributor to the exponential growth of the Chinese passenger source market to over 2 million passengers back in the early teens. While the Japan ban was the result of widespread travel restrictions imposed by Beijing to contain the pandemic at home in the early 2020, South Korea ban goes back to March of 2017. So we're going to probably see a lot more activity out of Asia in the cruise marketplace. So, all right, the Great Pizza Caper of 2023. Of course, the fans just erupted in an avalanche of condemnation that the cruise line would even consider charging cruise ship passengers for pizza. The controversy reached Royal Caribbean International President and CEO Michael Bailey's desk as he took to social media to claim concern over such a change. Last week, a Royal Caribbean blog reader shared a copy of an email survey he received from Royal Caribbean asking about many topics, including opinions on making the free pizza an extra charge item. Royal Caribbean surveys are a commonly used tool for the company to evaluate and get feedback on all aspects of their operations. However, the question of charging for pizza was something new, since the Sorrento's pizza on board has always been a complimentary item. The whole world exploded from the speculation. That speculation was put to rest yesterday by CEO Michael Bailey. To calm all our pizza lovers, don't worry, we are not charging for pizza. So said CEO Michael Bailey. All right. Unprecedented wildfires are closing in on the capital of Canada's Northwest Territories, prompted citywide evacuations by land and sea yesterday. Authorities instructed residents of the highest risk areas of Yellowknife to evacuate immediately, while others had until this afternoon to leave the city of about 20,000 people. Canada has been plagued by the worst wildfire season on record. The effects will be felt in the U.S. too. An air quality alert was issued across the entire state of Wisconsin, central and northeastern Minnesota from Thursday until Monday. So more smoke from Canada. Had a raft of cancellations from Celebrity overnight. Celebrity Apex, no, I take that back. Celebrity Beyond has announced more than 5 months of sailing for the new vessel have been canceled due to a change in deployment plans. Celebrity Beyond, the newest Edge-class ship in the Celebrity Cruises fleet, will not be sailing in Europe for the spring, summer, and fall of 2024 as originally planned. The ship was to have been based from Rome, offering 10 and 11 night sailings to amazing ports of call in Greece, Croatia, and Turkey. Instead, the cruise line has announced the ship will be remaining in Fort Lauderdale to offer Caribbean cruises year-round. As a result, all of the Celebrity Beyond's 2024 European sailings, as well as the transatlantic voyages scheduled for April 22nd and November 1st, have been canceled. And the other story has to deal with the Apex. In an email sent out in accordance with the Global Ship Safety Guidelines, Celebrity Cruises will be revising Celebrity Apex season schedule to include dry dock for routine inspection in 2025 instead of 2024 as originally scheduled. The affected cruises are November 9th and November 21st, departures in 2024, as well as sailings from March 8th through April 26th in 2025. The November 24th departure were to have been a 12-night transatlantic sailing from Lisbon to Fort Lauderdale on November 9th and the 9-night Southern Caribbean sailing on November 21st. Because the ship will not be entering dry dock at that time after all, the schedule is likely being reworked to offer alternative sailings during the winter, but such plans have not yet been announced. The March 8th through the April 26th departures include a variety of Caribbean sailings to many ports of call, depending on departure date. It is possible that a new transatlantic cruise may be planned in early March. The ship moves into dry dock at that time. Also, following the recent announcement of new Florida home ports and Caribbean itineraries for multiple ships, it's not surprising that Celebrity Constellation is having multiple cruises canceled to accommodate her new itineraries from Tampa. The revision means that Celebrity Constellation sailings from January 11th through April 3rd will be canceled, excluding the March 1st, 2025 departure. Within that window, a total of 8 sailings are canceled, most of which are 9 or 12-night cruises. The March 1st departure that remains unchanged is the 12-night New Orleans and Caribbean itinerary, calling not only on the Big Easy, but also Key West, Honduras, and both Costa Maya and Cozumel. No explanation is given as to why the cruise remains intact, but it may be hosting a charter group or have stronger early bookings that justify keeping the sailing as is. That cruise is also uniquely timed to enjoy Mardi Gras, which may be a factor preserving the original itinerary. So if you're involved with any of those cruises, folks, contact your cruise provider or Celebrity. They are offering compensation choices and so forth. that you might be able to take advantage of. So take a look at it and see. All right, that's going to wrap up the news portion today. Let's go over in the chat room, see who's fussing at me today, who's with us. Kenneth is here. Kenneth, make sure you got a umbrella. It's going to be wet in Los Angeles on Monday. I don't see any way around it. I think once you sail, assuming they sail on time, and that's going to depend on how bad things are when they get to Los Angeles. But assuming you sail on time, it might be a little rough that first evening out, but then you should be pretty much south of enough to be back to an enjoyable cruise as far as smoothness goes. Some of the port calls may be affected as an aftermath from depending on how much damage there is. So that one will just have to wait and see. But anyway, you're gonna get wet the first part of that cruise. Of course, Kenneth and Robin are going through the Panama Canal. So that's a really nice cruise. Buenos dias, Chillie and the gang from Elizabeth down in Cozumel. My best friend just flew out of Kelowna last night. I have some scary photos I will send you. Okay. Cindy is with us. Hi, Cindy. Mike's here out in Kentucky. Nikki's here down in Jacksonville. Steve says good morning to everybody from out in the Bluegrass State. It's always good to have you guys with us. All right, guys, it's going to be a busy, busy 12, 14 hours for me. I still haven't packed. Getting packed, getting the car loaded, and heading to Richmond to get on an airplane tomorrow. And then I got to fly to Dallas, I think. And then from Dallas to Vancouver. I know it's kind of crazy. But anyway, I'm going to be busy to get ready because I'm not at all. I at least got my errands run yesterday. I mean, things like going to the bank, all that stuff. So anyway, next time you hear from me, I'll be on my way. I'm pretty sure. All right, guys. As always, thanks for being with me. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'll see everybody on the next adventures in Canada and Alaska. You guys have a phenomenal weekend, and I'll talk to everybody real soon. Have a great day, everybody. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the hot seas. Have a great weekend. Don't forget tonight, 6 o'clock, if you want to find out more about the solo cruise. Going to do a special live at 6 o'clock just before I jump in the car and leave. All right, guys. See you later.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chilliescruises.